Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today, we're going to unbox two different Telecasters and continue the review with one or the other. But today, we are taking a look at the brand new 75th anniversary Teles. So, in 1946, that's the year that Fender officially started as a company. Or at least it's the date that they used to celebrate their anniversaries. So, they came out with two different lineups of 75th anniversaries. One made in Mexico, one made in the USA. That way, they had different varying price points, so everybody could get in on the anniversary action if they so chose to. And I thought it'd be fun to check out one of each, just to see which one you guys prefer. One is half the price, whereas the other one is double. So let's go ahead and check out the Made in Mexico version first. So this beauty, what kind of makes it unique is this sparkly silver finish they've got going on here. That's not only on the headstock here, but also on the body. Oh, wow. I do like that. Now that I've seen it in person, I was expecting this to be like just a straight up sparkle silver, but the website says it has some silver to it, but it also has some gold tint, and you can definitely see that gold in person. Especially, I think, on my GoPro cam, I think you can see that coming in very clearly. So despite being a more silver guitar in like stock photos, if you like gold, I think you'll like this, but ooh. Unfortunately, this one got kind of beat up in shipping. Something happened, caused like a ding in the poly finish here. That's a little bit unfortunate. But other than that, this one comes with an alder body. We have what they call like 50 style pickups that they put in here. It's just a regular Telecaster otherwise. Three-way toggle switch, master volume and tone. You've got a satin finish on the back of your neck. It's not really tinted in any meaningful way, but it's kind of cool. You get the sparkle silver finish with the matching headstock. But they're calling this finish Diamond Anniversary Metallic. I mean, it's kind of hard to create a good title for something that goes silver to gold. So let's go ahead and see if the USA version tickles your fancy any more than this. Let's go ahead and go over here. That guitar over here is $899.99, essentially $900. This one is a little bit over double that at just under $2,000 at $1999.99. So what do you get that is different? Well, first off, you get a very special, I think it's a limited edition case. It's either that or that's just a newer Fender case that I haven't seen before. Let's go ahead and get this out. It's silver. I guess, you know, the 25th anniversary is your silver anniversary, and then 50th is gold. So a 75th silver and gold? I don't know. I don't follow that stuff too much. So straight out of the case, you get like this kind of gray, silverish case with the black accents that actually looks pretty stunning. I would kind of prefer it the other way. Black like it normally is, and then have silver attributes. But it looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and check out the guitar itself, though. Oh, yes. I like the blue interior. That looks cool. Very similar to what we saw in like those chainsaw case reissues. So yeah, the first thing you're going to notice, all their body completely covered over versus this beautiful thing. Oh yeah, look at that. Ash body with a see-through, they call it a Bourbon burst finish. So Bourbon burst, we've seen that on Gibsons before. It's kind of like a tobacco sunburst in a roundabout way. And it looks pretty nice. I mean, there's not like a bunch of dancing figuring. Appears to be at least a two-piece ash body. Yeah, I can see at least one seam line right here. There might be more, I'm not sure. But anyways, besides the case and the finish, you get gold hardware on this one. That's an upgrade. This is made in the USA versus Mexico, so there's going to be a bit of a premium to the price for that. I think the finish is a little bit nicer on this one in general. It still has that same satin feeling on the back, but it does have that tinted neck like I was talking about. They also did the Telecaster version that has the kind of shaved down heel to make it play just a little bit easier in the upper fret access. And hey, take a look at our tuners. They gave us special pearl-tipped versions that are also locking. And then you get an awesome 75th anniversary medallion in the headstock. So in some of those like Noir series Fenders that we've done reviews and demos on, we've had that in like a silkscreen decal. You can see that here on the screen. Whereas this one is just a legitimate medallion. But this one actually dates to the year 2020. So this is actually probably one of the earlier ones. So here we go, side by side. If everything was the same, which one would I pick? I mean, this looks nice. It looks traditional. But something about this sparkle diamond finish that turns gold, that is a really sweet finish. So I think for the rest of this review and demo, we're going to go in depth on the USA version because I'm sure a lot of people want to check this thing out too. And when else do you get a gold hardware Telecaster? Not too often. All right, troglodytes, let's go ahead and throw this on the workbench and take an individual look at its parts and specs. Inside the USA 75th anniversary Tele, let's go ahead and check this out. So what makes this also worth the premium is the fact that you have custom shop pickups in here. What kind, you might be asking? Well, it's the twisted Tele pickups. I think I've had these before and liked them, but you're also going to notice at the same time, besides having the custom shop pickups, say you want to upgrade this guitar to other pickups at some point in time, you could put a humbucker in the neck, you could have a Nashville style Tele with a single in the middle. Now you're pretty limited in your bridge as to what you could do, but you could easily do an SSH or an SSS, or you might even be able to get away with putting a P90 in here if you modify your pickguard and whatnot. So lots of different options here, but you can see this is all shielded off with your black cavity paint. And basically they just took an American professional Tele's body and then they just put it in this new finish and named it a 75th anniversary. Now something I did notice here that was a little bit strange is we have a channel route right here for like a grounding off wire onto this, but there's not actually one supposed to be there. So any of you wiring gurus, tell me, is that supposed to be there, or is that just a leftover artifact from a different model that this one was just also routed for? I guess quickly plugging this in will tell us if we have some sort of an issue or not. But they do have grounding tabs in multiple locations in here, so I'm sure it's perfectly fine. You've got your other one right down in there. But here's what your neck pickup looks like up close. You also have a little barcode there, and it's more of a mint green colored guard. It's got a slight green hint to it. And then it looks like we got some pretty nice CTS pots in here. Pretty basic stuff for Fender, but it's gold. But speaking of gold, unfortunately, whoever sells them their screws, their plating job is not very good. This is just from me taking it out, spinning it. It had a correct size screw bit and everything. It just started to flake off. Yeah, you can see it right there. It gets caught in your finger and it hurts. So that happened to 2 of these large screws where it started to flake off. So maybe they need to switch manufacturers on that. And that was mainly just for the ones that secure the bridge to the whole guitar. As far as the other tiny ones for the pickguard, I didn't have any issues with those. But as I was telling you earlier, this is an ash body, whereas this one over here is an alder body. That's a big difference. Fender actually said they were going to stop using ash bodies except for on limited edition models or something that they felt like using it on custom shop. So this guitar being made of ash is actually kind of a big deal. But you're going to notice another big difference is the style of bridge setup that they have here. So this has the 3 saddles, whereas the Mexican-made version has the 6 saddle version. But what you can do on this one that you can't do on that one is the fact that it can be set up as a string through or a top loader Tele. And instead of just 4 screws securing to the body, you also have 2 up here, whereas this setup doesn't use that. This is a more modern thing. This is a more vintage thing. It's really just personal preference. Like this one also says Fender on it, whereas this has nothing. And they just called these pickups the vintage style 50s Teles. So, I mean, they're going to be pretty generic. In theory, the custom shop ones should sound better and be higher quality. But at the end of the day, it more so matters about your amp and your playing style. And then after that, you can get real nitpicky with your pickups. One small thing I do want to note over here on the Mexican-made version is this pickguard's actually sitting up on top of that. I'm not sure if that was routed incorrectly or it was just installed incorrectly, but that was something I noticed. As far as the pickups go, that bridge is incredibly hot, 10K ohms, wow. Then our neck pickup, about half at 5.57, and our middle position here, 3.63. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to do this one. Yeah, that's 7.33, so this is going to have a much hotter bridge pickup. Where's our neck pickup on this one? 7.73. Then in between, 3.82. So hotter neck pickup over here versus a more vintage style one, and then super hot, average. They're definitely going to sound very different from each other. But the ash body itself, it has a gloss finish. So it's going to look all nice and shiny. Same thing with the other one over here. But moving on to the maple neck, this is all satin. Until you get to that face of the headstock anyways, then they go back to gloss. So satin fretboard, satin back of the neck. The specs between these guitars, they're the same. You have 22 medium jumbo frets, 9.5-inch radius, and this one has a bone nut, whereas the other one over here has a synthetic bone, so it's basically just plastic. You will notice that the frets appear to be golden. That's just because the lacquer, the tinted lacquer that they have on this neck, kind of rides up along the edges of the frets, and that kind of gives them that gold appearance. I do not believe these are stock gold frets, which is something that does exist. I've never been a big fan of when the lacquer does that. So in my opinion, the Mexican Tele fretboard actually looks a bit cleaner to me, but it's only like that because it's not a tinted neck, whereas this one is. As far as our neck specs, we have 1.7 inches at the nut width, 2.04 by the 12th. First fret neck depth of 0.87, that increases to 0.93 by the 12th. This is described as a deep C neck profile shape, whereas this one over here is a modern C, so that'll be very slightly different. Got a nut width of 1.65 and 2.04 by the 12th. For comparison's sake, here's the American at the first fret and then the Mexican at the first fret. You can actually see the American is, quite wider in feel. Once again, USA on this side. By the 12th, they're about the same, but you can definitely tell the USA is a much more rounded neck. Something else to notice is that the edges of the fretboard has actually been rolled. So what that means is normally on brand new guitars, they have kind of a sharper edge over here, but they just kind of roll it down a little bit. That way it's not as sharp and it feels more broken in, I guess you could say. This one doesn't quite have the same rolled edge, but honestly, it's not that bad feeling. As far as the face of the headstock, here's the string tree on this one versus the more vintage style over here with a matching headstock color. But our truss rods, they're about the same. This one just gets capped off with walnut. But here's a nice up-close look at those pearl tip tuners. Now, it's not real pearl, it's just pearloid, but it still looks nice versus having Fender's more modern tuners on this one. But moving on to the back here, this thing's looking pretty nice. You can see your brass ferrules going through the body. You've got your strap buttons in your regular locations and your output jack on the side. Pretty much the exact same thing over here, except for you don't have the gold and brass, whatever it is. They're silver on this model, or chrome, I guess would be more apropos. But here's what the neck plate looks like over here. It's just kind of like what we saw on the headstock of that other one. Just a big record and then 75. Whereas on this one, it's much smaller. We get the micro tilt neck adjustment and you've got the slightly contoured heel joint. Now personally, I don't do a whole bunch of soloing, so this is nice to have, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker. And both of these are one-piece maple necks and they put the truss rod in and then cap it off with the walnut skunk stripe. And they're both billed as satin finishes, but honestly, this one feels better to me. I like the neck profile a bit better as well. That's kind of why I wanted to review that one. But as far as the headstock here, 2020 serial number, once again, we can see our big giant medallion right there and our locking Fender tuners versus this one not having any big medallion or locking tuners or anything like that. The American one weighs about 7 pounds, 12 ounces. Let's go ahead and see the silver one. This is a bit heavier at 8 pounds, 2.5 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug these in, and hear how they sound. Let's go ahead and talk about this Tele's tones. It might just be that I haven't demoed a Telecaster in a couple of months, but this thing sounds great to my ears. It's got that nice Tele twang. We'll try our neck pickup here. Nice and glassy. Try that middle position now. So it's got some good clean tones, right? Let's compare them. go ahead and try some distortion. Okay, so this one, I like it. I would buy this guitar and play it. I get a lot of nice tones out of these custom shop twisted telly pickups. I really like the kind of nitty gritty neck pickup tone you get. It kind of reminds me of some Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff. If you can play like him anyways. So yeah, let's go ahead and switch over to the Mexican made one. Start with that neck pickup. I'm not going to say it sounds bad, but in comparison to that other one, you can definitely tell there's something a little bit more to the cleans on those custom shop pickups. This thing also wants to keep falling off. I think it's perfectly acceptable at the price point, though. I would probably just dial a little bit more bass onto my amp, I would say, for this one. Now that we know all about the Fender 75th anniversary Telecasters, which one did I end up preferring? the USA made one, but it really just comes down to the sounds of the pickups. This is not half bad. And if I'm being honest here, now that I've had these in person, I really like the finish of this one, almost even better than the Bourbon Burst. Like, this thing looked absolutely fantastic in the stock photos, but in person, I mean, it's just a nice sunburst finish. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but that silver finish really came to life in person. Because it kind of reminds me of like one of those 25th anniversary Les Paul Customs, how as they age, they turn gold. And it's really hard to see it in this lighting, but it does kind of turn gold at certain angles. So ultimately, I think I prefer the finish of this one, but I like the sound of the custom shop pickups. But at the end of the day, you know, just buy your own custom shop pickups, put them in here. These were not that bad though. You just dial your amp a little bit differently, and I think you would enjoy these as well. Now, as far as the feel between the two, you know, from first impressions, I actually kind of liked the feel of this one a little bit better, but that just comes down to personal preferences. The necks are very slightly different. However, I will say the satin neck on this one isn't quite as satin feeling as that other one, so there might be something a little bit different there as well. So troglodytes, let me know which one was your favorite down in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. As always, if you're interested in being the next owner of one of these demo guitars, you can check them out on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. There's some links in the description.